Welcome back, everybody. Rocco Bitterman here. I've been traveling for the first time in a year and a half since COVID, and I took my zcam E2 M4 on the road with me, and I learned 3 really important things about it. Let's do this. So, I have been all over the world. I've been to Japan, India, Thailand, all over Europe, from England to Norway, Italy, so forth. I've been down in Africa and all over South America. Well, when I travel, I always have a camera with me. It's normally a stills camera, and I always have my standard 24-105 zoom lens, and every now and then I'll bring other zoom lenses such as my 70-200 or, like a 17-35. So what did I learn in traveling around with my zcam E2 M4, and what are some of the main things that I learned? In this video, I'm going to tell you 3 things that I picked up when trying to use my zcam E2 M4 as my main travel camera and using it for video on the road. So over the last week, I was traveling from Omaha, Nebraska back to California. I went through Denver, Colorado. I went through the Rocky Mountains. I made a stop off in Moab, Utah to check out Arches National Park. And I made my way through northern Nevada on the way back home to California. I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, so it was a good 4 days of travel for me. Now, did I film for those whole 4 days? Not a chance. I did a little filming here and there, and I did find that taking the zcam E2 M4, although small, compact, easy to throw in my travel backpack and get to Nebraska, was not the ideal camera for running, gunning, propping up when I stopped, quickly getting a shot in downtown Denver, and so forth. So lesson 1, this is a cinema camera. First thing I learned, the zcam E2 M4 is definitely still a cinema camera. Although I had it rigged out with as little as possible, with smaller lenses, and the body sort of down to core components, it's still a very large, heavy, and fairly manual camera to set up. So if you're looking for something that is sort of run and gunish, that you could easily set up, pull out of your bag, get good photos with, this is slower to get up and running. So in a lot of my cinema cameras, I'm used to having image stabilization, autofocus, zoom lenses that could quickly adjust where I'm focusing and what my framing is going to be. This time I went with my zcam with a autofocus lens. This one here is the 14mm Lumix lens, which worked okay, but autofocus wise, it was not ideal. Obviously, this doesn't have a really great continuous autofocus. The autofocus was good to sort of punch in on what I'm looking at, but getting it up and running focus wise was challenging, because I'd use the app, I would set my focus, it would hunt a little, and by the time I had my framing down, if I was trying to capture something that was moving or a live shot, it didn't quite catch it in time. So that was the one thing that I learned. And it's really, even though I'm holding it here and juggling it around, it's a fairly heavy camera. I had my side handle on it. I had to take that on and off as I threw it back and forth in the backpack. I did forget my top mount for my phone, so as I was holding it or gunning it, I just decided it was easier to put on the monitor each time and sort of go with it in this sort of configuration. Not having the touchscreen controls with the monitor was frustrating, so I would either have to set things in the menu using the buttons, or on the app with a secondary sort of monitor going. Battery wise, didn't have a problem with it. Storage wise, the Samsung, T5 1 TB, I never ran out of any space that way. So it was great to work with it that way. Just checking my notes here, and yeah, as I had it like this, I still had a lot of gear to carry, and so it was fairly bulky, and I had to build it up before I took it out of my bag. But otherwise, it works great. It was just a little bit slower than I'm used to with a standard standard stills camera that does video. Lesson 2. It needs a lot of support. So the second thing that I sort of learned quickly was camera this size, although small, still needs a lot of support. I went out using the iPhoto Cobra C152. It's super light. It's carbon fiber. I have this cheaper, newer head on it, just in case I, was going out there. The head works great, but the support on the lower end with the legs was not enough. The little ball down here with the zcam as it was here, I don't know quite how heavy it was, but it definitely was challenging. I think this is a 15 or 17 pounds limit. It was definitely challenging this. The ball head down here always was slipping and sort of adjusting. I had to keep sort of resetting it and tightening it down as hard as possible so it wouldn't move, but it did always seem to move. The other thing was, this was great for height, but being a monopod, it sort of wiggles around a little unnecessarily, and it doesn't have the largest leg stance, so putting it down, getting a flat, good solid base was challenging. Otherwise, it's super light. It packs up easily. I disconnected things and just sort of threw the monopod section into my main bag, and the legs I always store in my backpack because it's easy to get it to come off, and sort of it folds up really nicely and tucks in pretty easily. And I use this pretty frequently as just a regular tripod stand. So but definitely needed something a little bit bigger than this. I didn't necessarily want to take a whole tripod with large legs where I knew I was going to be going in and out of hiking spots and whatnot. So I wanted to have it easy to post and get, but it didn't quite give me the support that I needed for doing the shooting that I was doing. Lesson 3, it's not a vlogging camera. One thing with the zcam is it's definitely not a vlogging camera. Like I was saying, I was trying to run and gun with it quite a bit, try to get shots as I was going. There's certain circumstances I wanted to be able to just pop out, film a little bit on the street, and do some quick photography, quick video of the areas in Arches National Park, but it just didn't quite fit the bill there. The autofocus, obviously not great for that. You're not going to be able to handhold and vlog like this. I tried to make a video and I ended up trashing all of it. I had to set up my monopod and do it in my hotel room, for the simple fact that even when I was out in Arches and I was trying to do some filming, the monopod was not terribly steady. It was a little bit windier, so the heavier top made it unreliable to just have out there and not touch and hold the monopod stand to make sure it was secure. So I think really if you're going to look for something to go, like, this is really made for cinema filming. Now, that being said, setting it up properly and filming the scenery in Arches was nice. The shots I got in Denver were great. So I'm not angry with that, just the speed of it wasn't ideal. And like saying, I forgot my iPhone mount, so I did have to use the monitor mount on top. Makes it a little bit more noticeable. So when I was filming in downtown Denver, there were a lot of people around, and when you're carting this around, it's very noticeable. And so people are stopping, they were noticing it. As I was pointing it down the street, people are like getting a little nervous about me filming them. So it wasn't ideal. If I had just a DSLR or a smaller camera, it probably would have been less noticeable. And you know, that might have been one of the advantages to sort of the DSLR body of the Blackmagic that I'm filming on here, because it wouldn't be so like noticeable. I mean, this looks like a cinema camera. Even in small compact form, it's definitely noticeable. Let me know if you travel around with a zcam, if you do any travel photography or travel videography with it, and how you feel it works. Maybe post down below, let us know any hints or suggestions you have for making it just a little bit more doable. And obviously, I know that not having my phone mount made it a little bit more tricky, and having the heaviest batteries possible on it, just because I don't like charging. I probably didn't need such a large battery. I probably could have gotten away with one of the smaller NPF batteries that I have on my monitor. So just let us know. And if you travel around, go ahead and like this video. Let's go ahead and we'll do a little bit more of this as COVID restrictions are sort of lifting. I'm vaccinated. My family's vaccinated. So we're going to be traveling more in the upcoming months, and hopefully we'll be out there doing stuff.